Hello. Hmm. Oh, hello. How you doing? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I am.
How you doing?
Doing fine. I had fun in New York last weekend. Just got
Yeah.
back yesterday. And, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, it looks like the Israelis are done messing with our mic.
No, this is back to normal now.
Yep. We're talking about America again. Um. So the thing is that that's the whole point. I was thinking this is also something that I was thinking about personally, but yeah, like the Republican Party and the right, at least in America, like seems to be on have a significant back foot like on the culture war since 2024 and espe- especially since 2016 and 2017. I feel like the American right has kind of is kind of backslid massively on the culture war compared to when Trump was even inaugurated president. Like the left is mostly taken back cultural institutions like even South Park, which is known to even shows like South Park, which are known to parody like liberals and stuff like that, are now like going after Trump like a lot. So I do, want to say like, why do you think this is happening, and like, how do you think they will impact the election?
Well, for starters, South Park makes fun of everyone. Whatever is
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
news, whatever the current thing is, they make fun of. So that's not particularly out of the ordinary.
yeah,
And I'll say that in some respects, the right has never been stronger. I mean, arguably they peaked when Trump won the election because when he was president, there was a considerable movement to the left, cultural
yeah,
wise at least. And under Biden's presidency, there was a backlash against that. That culminated in the 2024 election, among many things. So I think it's pretty common for there to be backlash against the side currently holding power because people are
mm,
contrarian. Like the side with power has responsibility and is blamed for a lot of stuff. And since Trump took office, a whole lot has gone wrong. I mean, especially with the economy, with these trade wars, with RFK Jr. as health
yeah.
secretary.
But
I mean,
then
there's
again,
a terrible pushback
yeah,
within the GOP
that
against him.
is definitely true. Like Obama did become less popular during his presidency. He did eventually. He did lose in 2010 the House, like very famously. But like the problem is that like I don't necessarily think that it was I don't necessarily think it was to this degree. I don't like. I think there were some successes in the early Obama administration, like some setbacks, but like I don't think he lost this much support. I mean, you look at the polls; his approval rating totally tanked.
Well, Trump, as far as polls go, is kind of unique. Like, I don't think he ever enjoyed majority support during his first administration. And the
Yeah,
ironic thing is, though his polling numbers are bad now, they're still stronger than at this point in 2017 when our economy was a lot better. So as a
Yeah.
political animal, he polls don't control him as much as they would a more conventional politician. And we still have more than a year to go until the midterm elections, which will be the ultimate acid test of his support. And so much depends on, among other things, if the Supreme Court nukes the tariffs, which, I mean, just it would piss him off, but it would help him in the long run because the economy would start recovering and people would forget about this whole hullabaloo by the time of the midterms. Voters have notoriously short memories, after all.
Yeah, that is like completely fair. So the Supreme Court may potentially strike down his tariffs, but like then again, as for like the thing is that but like the point is that but like the point is that ever since like it feels like ever since like the Trump administration, it might not necessarily even reflect in polls, but like from what you're seeing people post online and for what the culture says, it's been a very clear it's been a very clear shift like away from the Republicans. Like, there may be some times where like corporations will bend the knee to Trump on things that are not particularly big. Like, the Cracker Barrel logo change being an example. That's not really popular with anyone. So you can't really count that as a conservative cultural victory because I don't necessarily think liberals and conservatives like we both agree the change was bad, so they obviously bent the knee. Like it's not really like
Yeah, and again, we'll have to wait for some serious elections to see the real consequences. But a lot of what you're describing are promises he broke, like, among many things, releasing the Epstein files. We just got
yeah,
some
yeah, yeah. The
news about
Epstein.
that today. And, like, people in the MAGA camp are pissed about that. Like, they're smart enough to know that he ran on that, among many things.
Yeah,
And
because the thing is that yeah. I think the Epstein files is like one of the. I don't know about like, a hot take. I don't really think that this whole loss of the culture war it really doesn't have much to do with immigration. What ICE is doing doesn't really help, but the average American I don't think cares that much about it. I think Republicans have traditionally, like Trump has traditionally had immigration as one of his most popular issues.
right. I mean, and most
The thing is,
Americans support mass deportations is the thing. I don't think that's a big factor in turning us against
I
him,
don't.
though as more
I
horror stories come out, it might in the
yeah.
longer run.
Like individual stories might be bad for him because they might make him out to be incompetent. But like then again, the idea of deporting illegal immigrants is fairly popular among Americans. It's one of Trump's strongest issues in terms of popularity.
And it's only grown in popularity since he last was president. Like, this is honestly a strong issue of his. And,
Yeah,
like, the economy, as I mentioned, is another
yeah, yeah.
real
But the
something
other,
that
but the
would
other, but the
kill him,
two things,
something
yeah,
that could
yeah,
bring him down because a lot of these MAGA types are small business owners, and a lot of those are dependent on us
yeah.
imports.
But the Epstein files is simply something that is But the Epstein files are simply something that not only do a lot of people on the right actually like care a lot about, like it's something that they voted for him on, but it's also something that's like you can't really rationalize it away that he promised to release the Epstein files and is not doing it.
Well, yeah, but like in what you're describing is a big rift between right wingers who actually have firmly held beliefs and see Trump as a vessel to achieve them, and people who are just loyal to him regardless. And
Yeah,
I think the latter group is still electorally quite powerful at this moment. Again, we won't know until we see a major nationwide election, but for the time
yeah,
being, that's at least the vibe I'm getting from the
yeah,
polls and other stuff.
yeah. Now, to be fair, what may ultimately happen is that while I do think that the Republicans are on the back foot in the media and on the general like online space or whatever, that still might not, Trump, the Republicans may not lose tons of votes off of it. It might not be reflective, but I would say there's three reasons as to why like Trump has lost popularity since the election. At least from what I can tell. Number one, the Epstein files, very clear thing that's very hard to rationalize if not impossible. Number two, the fact that the economy is one of the chief reasons people voted for him. People aren't seeing things get better in the economy, so they're turning on him. Also, number three, simply the fact that a lot of the people in his administration besides him are frankly really not likable.
Right. Yeah, I mean, both that and they project this vibe of amateurism. I mean,
Yeah,
Signalgate. I've heard from plenty of people that Signalgate would have brought down a government in so many other countries and probably in the US if anybody other than Trump was president. Just such a sloppy error, but we've forgotten about it now in just this
yeah,
endless news cycle. It's doesn't
yeah.
even like make top 10 of the most outrageous things people think
Trump,
he's doing now.
it seems like Trump's biggest asset is simply the fact that people literally just can't keep track of everything that he's actually done. In a rather
Yeah,
funny way
it's the
that,
parade of outrages, like
yeah,
you,
yeah,
but and among someone who seems to have been losing the light recently is RFK Jr. because
yeah, yeah,
Republicans in the Senate have
yeah, yeah,
criticized
yeah.
him in the open, and it's like too little, too late. Like these people could have stopped him back in February, like 3 more votes, and but of course they were spineless, and now look where we are.
Yeah, that's completely fair. Yeah, that's also strange considering the fact that RFK is not really that much of a Republican. In fact, he notoriously is like, he doesn't agree with the Republicans on gun control and stuff like that. He's like very famously anti-gun. I know a lot of libertarians really do not like RFK, for that.
I mean, exactly. Like, and he's not even the only one. Like, so many of the MAGA types nowadays in Trump's cabinet too are former Democrats or 1990s era Democrats. Like Tulsi Gabbard is another big one. Peter Navarro, he was like a green leftist in the 1990s, and he's one of the main voices in favor of the tariff policy.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's basically Bush era Democrats have invaded the GOP and now hold prominent administration positions.
lol. Well, it's not necessarily all Democrats, but it's a combination of like older Democrats and like Pat Buchanan Republicans that have like formed the
Right.
Trump like.
It's a combination of them with a previously dormant trend in the GOP that occasionally reared its head but generally didn't hold power, and now they're ascendant again.
Yeah, so that's completely fair. The thing is that but also mainly the fact that a lot of the people that a lot of the people that are around Trump are just not very likable, and it seems like whenever somebody like JD Vance or Elon Musk gets in the news, it's always not good.
Yeah, no, it's like there's just one of my relatives pointed out just the other day that Christy Nome just isn't likable and doesn't seem to realize it. I mean,
Yeah, that's called a lol cow.
yeah. Yeah, that's kind of what she is.
Yeah. That's fair. So it's like every one of the people. It's like every one of the people around him. It's like whenever they get like any like attention, it's always bad. Like well, it is fair that a lot of like I don't necessarily think Biden's inner circle did very great either. They had a lot of but like I don't necessarily think it was to the extent of like what's going on here. But there were some
But they
very
at least
silly
had
things.
basic presentation skills and didn't feel the need to constantly jingle the keys about key policies. Like, they're renaming the DOD to the Department of War, which they can't officially do without Congress. It's just dick flexing.
Yeah,
And
it's
Hegseth
totally,
is
it's
going
totally,
out and
it's
saying
it's
post
totally fair.
Department of
It's
War
totally
everywhere.
fair. Would you know that the average American probably doesn't care that you can't do that? You can't rename the Department of Defense.
Well, no, I mean, it's not like the average person doesn't care, but like Hegseth is making a jerk out of himself promoting the new name, so.
Yeah, or at least he's like making himself very like Yeah, but this is another problem that like a lot of the people like that help like get Trump elected. I mean, especially true of like Elon Musk. He got Trump. He helped Trump get elected simply by having so much money, and then he gets into the administration and he like messes seems to mess everything up. Like
I mean, yeah, like gutting USAID, I've heard someone say, was almost a crime against humanity, given the amount of people it kept alive around the world. And the argument was, oh, why is it our responsibility to keep them alive? We have this big deficit. I mean, but they didn't reduce the deficit. Like this big, beautiful bill, they're exploding it. They're not saving any money from cutting these programs off. And Musk learned, who for all accounts was a genuine believer in this Doge ideology, learned the hard way that governing is a bit different from running a business.
yeah, but that's the other thing. It's like and also mention the fact that Elon Musk and Trump are at a fight. Like that's actually the first episode that we did on this series. Like if you remember, I always talked about the fact like literally like Elon Musk and Trump like getting into like an argument, and stuff like that. And then it's just and then it's just like and then there's also like not even the and you talk about his subordinates, the way Trump has acted, around people has not, been up to par. Like, like threatening to invade Greenland, threatening to annex Canada. Like, I don't necessarily think the average American is certainly going to threaten to invade Canada and say like, "Oh, I want to do that." Like,
Well, but the thing is, we've forgotten about a lot of that stuff because it's the cycle of outrage. Like, remember when he was talking about, oh, we're going to annex the Panama Canal? And we don't hear much about that anymore because there was a deal signed that gave BlackRock a basically domineering share of the Panama Canal ports, and that was a win for the administration. So I guess you could sort of see the argument his supporters use, oh, the outrage is just to get the other side to agree to better deals. But that's like one of the few ones where it actually ended with anything. Like
yeah,
with Canada, we just sort of stopped talking about that. And but in Greenland, there was recently a U.S. spy operation unveiled to.
yeah, there was a U.S. spy operation to try to. There was recently an American spy operation to try to do that. But I would say like the big reason that I think, and I always thought of this, but the big reason why I don't think things are gonna go well for Trump in the future is because, or at least for the Republicans, it's like the Republicans are like so like bombastic and aggressive that they're making themselves very easy to attack. In like a because like the thing is that like it's like they're doing like it's like they're so bombastic that they're making like it very easy to attack them.
I see what you're going for. And, like, of course, if the economy gets worse coming up, if, for instance, the Supreme Court upholds the tariff policies and power, we might see the Republican support decline real
Yeah,
fast. We've already seen Gavin Newsom, first and foremost, try to play their
yeah,
own game with them. And he has
yeah,
support for it, even though he's not a particularly good governor or popular. Like, he's picking up support among the Dem base because
yeah.
he seems to be the only one with spine.
You know what I'm saying? It's like the fact that Gavin Newsom could do something. Like Gavin Newsom is not that very popular of a governor. The fact that he could do something like that and really not encounter much pushback is kind of crazy. Like,
Hey, it all the rest of the Democrats are still in this is problematic mode, whereas Newsom is taking the battle to the Trumpies, and that's how you get support in that party's base
yeah,
nowadays.
that is completely fair. But like, Gavin Newsom is not a particularly popular governor. The fact that he's able to do this and not really have any pushback from either his own party or like much from the Republicans either that really sticks. I think it shows the fact that like things are generally not going very well for the Republicans. At
for
least
the
in
administration.
at least in the front page news. Like in the polls, it really depends. Like even if like things look bad for Trump, people may still vote for him if the economy goes well. But like, but even then, like I question like how I questioned how long the economy would last. You're probably right in saying that like the Supreme Court may potentially strike down his tariffs, which may potentially lead him to getting more support because people will forget about it. Yeah.
But yeah, and
Well,
another thing that
the other thing is that Trump the other thing is that Trump like generally yeah. The other thing is that like I think Trump like tariffs are one of the things I think Trump actually believes in.
yeah, tariffs
I
and
do think you
immigration,
could
those are
yeah,
his
yeah.
real issues.
Yeah. I think he believes in tariffs just because of how many times he keeps attempting it. Like
Yeah,
he
like he's
wouldn't
talked
do
about
it.
how other countries are ripping us off, quote unquote, since the 80s. Like, and
Yeah.
of course, he picked up the torch of anti-immigration to win massive support in 2016. That was build the wall was a signature promise. So I don't think he's going to personally back down on any of those. But if the court does strike down the tariffs, it could save him against his will, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. But I think tariffs are one of the things he actually believes in, which explains why he keeps doing them like over and over and over again, even if like, in the short term, it wouldn't look well. The thing is that I don't know how to explain this, but like politics American politics are very short term oriented. So let me explain this. Even if the tariffs like benefited people in the long run and really did hurt people in the short run, it wouldn't be politically smart for Trump to do that because the time where tariffs hurt people would sink his poll numbers and get him kicked out of the election. American politics are very short term oriented.
Well, yeah, I mean, and it depends on if it's in place and all the negative effects are happening at the time of an election. Like, if the tariffs were struck down tomorrow and the economy recovered by the time of the midterms, everyone would forget about this. Like you
Yeah, yeah.
said, we're
Maybe
very
maybe
short-term
potentially
oriented.
some. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's like maybe perhaps the economy will be fine. People would still vote for them because like they just don't really look into the details of the incident. Like
Yeah, we forgot about stuff like 9 months ago. I mean, the voters, not just in America but also globally, have very short memories. And part of the outcome also depends on these gerrymandering wars that Gavin Newsom is an active fighter in. That's part of why he's gained support. And it would be so ironic if the Republican states trying to gerrymander themselves ended up backfiring.
yeah. But then again, you can kind of understand what Newsom's doing here. He's not particularly the most like he's not like gonna lose the governorship, but he's never really the most popular California governor. He's had a lot of issues like under his belt that he's been dealing with. So like you understand why him doing something like this would you understand why he do something like this because like he was smart and he saw that in the position that he's in right now, he does this. People will like it. Like
Yeah, and this is how he can both save his reputation and do a potential run for president. We all know that is what Newsom is shooting for.
yeah, yeah. No, we can all tell that he's gonna run for president. I'm not necessarily sure if he's gonna. I don't necessarily think he's gonna make it. I don't really see him being the nominee. The reason being is that while him attacking Trump may motivate the Democrats, like I feel like other Democrats would simply copy. I feel like other Democrats will just copy him eventually, and they'll take his thunder.
Yeah,
Like I
and
don't
there's
see.
still a lot of time till the election. And I remember when everyone was trumpeting DeSantis as the next big thing in
Yeah,
conservatism, possibly even upstaging Trump. And now he's totally irrelevant. He fizzled when it came to actually doing stuff on the campaign trail, and Newsom might be the same.
yeah. because I think I think I'm gonna say this. It's gonna be a rough like Democratic primary if I were to guess, because because it's gonna be a rough Democratic primary because there really isn't a clear successor to Biden Harris, and a lot of people are going to be vying for the nominee. Probably going to be a lot of attacks and insults thrown at them because that space for the presidency is open and people are going to want to get it. There's not really a clear person for it.
Well, yeah, and again, the ultimate Democratic nominee might be someone we don't even know at this point. Just like Trump was in the
Yeah,
aftermath of the 2012 election. Like everyone thought that Jeb Bush was the front runner for a
or
time. We know
Ted
how
Cruz.
that Jeb Bush, Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio were like the big three. Then Donald Trump came almost out of nowhere. So the Democrat Trump might take some time to emerge if he does, like by 2027 or something. So nobody
Yeah.
we're really talking about right now.
Yeah. And the thing is that, I think, yeah, it very well could end up being an outsider, mainly because from what I've observed, there's a kind of a power vacuum in the Democratic Party. There's not really a solid leader. Like, the party's kind of leaderless at this point. Like, they don't really have somebody at the helm of it. Like,
Yeah, basically they need someone who can really channel all the anti-Trump anger that's been building up but hasn't really had an outlet at this moment, and that's clearly who Newsom is striving to be at the
yeah.
moment.
Yeah, that's completely fair, but you have to remember the fact that that any other Democrat could easily just copy Newsom's strategy and then attack him on things that he doesn't do well. So that doesn't really mean he's going to become president. I feel like he's
No,
kind of
it's way too early to say whether Gavin Newsom is going to become president because again, anything could happen in 3 years. Someone could come totally out of nowhere, or it's like there's a remote chance, I don't think very big, that Trump could die in office of something like it was. Remember, like the fact that he shut up for 3 days led people to speculate that he was dead. So we live in
yeah
crazy times and we can't rule out anything.
yeah there's a chance. I think that a lot of it's probably copium, but
Yeah,
it's
I agree.
okay.
Like he's not healthy, but neither was Biden really at any
Yeah.
point, and he's almost certainly going to limp through all 4 years.
Yeah, he is. I think he is going to. But the thing is that I think the Republicans are kind of cooked once Trump goes, because I think the one advantage the Republicans have over the Democrats right now is a clear leader.
Right, like they need somebody who can inherit the cult, basically, and I just don't think Vance has the sauce for that. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah,
Like, I mean, he's kind of off. His personality is kind of off-putting. He comes across as a hectoring professorial type. Can't really rally a crowd. Like, he needed a lot of support from McConnell to win his race back in 2022, and now McConnell is going to retire. And yeah, I remember like in the aftermath of Obama's election in 2012, that was around the time I was first getting into politics. People were talking about, the permanent Democratic majority that would come as a result of growing demographics of Latinos and the like, and younger
yeah.
voters, and
And
that,
that's and
that
and then
Obama
and
would
then
just
yeah,
be
yeah.
a good politician.
And
And
then
I think
2016 came around, and that
yes,
all was undone.
it blew it over completely. And now
Yeah,
people are saying the opposite. A lot of people on the MAGA side are saying there's going to be a permanent MAGA majority now. And I don't think so. Like,
yeah,
we need someone with Trump's political talent to maintain the coalition that won in 2024. And a lot of his mass deportation policies are alienating certain amounts of Latino voters that were key in that election. So, like, he's burning bridges as it stands. So, yeah, again, anything could happen, but I do not think the Republicans are very much favored in 2028. Just if it was held tomorrow, I think they would lose.
yeah. At least lose the House and maybe the Senate.
Yeah, like again, we'll have to so many of our predictions will have to wait until after the midterms next year because we could have another surprise. Like I remember 2022, everyone was saying we were going to see the biggest red wave in decades. But it was a really pathetic underperformance, and what I've heard is next year might be that in reverse. Like the Democrats will win the House, but not by much. Republicans are going to keep the Senate, and I think that might just be a function of hyper polarization right now. Like I'm not sure
Yeah,
we'll see another wave election anytime soon. Every
yeah,
House, Senate, and presidential race is going to be bitterly fought to the max.
yeah. I could definitely see that, but yeah. But I would say, yeah, the one advantage Republicans still hold over the Democrats, as I've said before, is the fact that they have one person at the political helm that can lead, that can hold all the respective coalitions together and keep the party going. But for how long he's gonna be able to do that is but I think that once Trump goes, they'll probably. I think once Trump goes, I think the coalitions within the Republican Party would probably fall apart. A lot of them would desert. I don't see
Right.
anyone else being able to hold it.
And like Trump himself, while I don't think he's going to die, he might decline somewhat in terms of cognitive function. And as Biden showed, you can cover that up to a surprising degree. So I think there might be considerable
Yeah,
infighting in the cabinet as a result as to who actually calls the
yeah.
shots, and that will.
But the thing is, as long as the Republicans can keep the media out of their infighting, then that really won't matter. If you have infighting in
Right.
your cabinet, your goal is just keep the media as far away as possible.
Well, yeah, that works for a time, but there will come a point where it's difficult to hide.
Yeah, yeah.
Just
But
like what happened to Biden
like
with that debate, like they'd successfully covered up his decline for like a year, almost 2 years at that point.
yeah, and then after the debate, they hurriedly dropped Biden in a very botched way, and then people didn't like that, and
Yeah, it came across as very scummy and behind the scenes. And of course, Trump won't be up for reelection, so he won't face that problem. But if it's revealed that he basically is a vegetable by that point, it would harm whoever the Republican is, especially if it's Vance, who's vice
yeah.
president.
The thing is, I don't really think Vance is enormously popular. He hasn't really done anything. It's hard to be popular as a vice president, but I honestly think Vance helps himself.
Right, because like again, he was totally dependent on McConnell to win back in 2022, and he was dependent on Trump, of course, to win last cycle. He doesn't have much experience standing on his own merits, his own personality, and the like.
Yeah, and also the fact that I think I'm not sure how much people remember this, but I think you remember when he was when he was yelling at Zelensky and stuff like that.
And like in part to show off for Trump to demonstrate his loyalty.
Yeah,
And of course, they since did another 180, and now we like Ukraine, and now we don't. Now we're inviting Putin. And it remains to be seen if they don't get results from that, the voters will punish them because Trump said that he was going to end the wars in Gaza and Ukraine on day one. And I don't think anyone took him literally on that, but there's no closer to ending now than
yeah. But
than it
then,
was
but,
when they were
but
on day
then
one.
again, the fact that the Trump's incoherent Ukraine policy can't necessarily help the Republicans. Because he's not really appeasing anyone, in the sense of first they support Ukraine for no they don't, and no they do,
And like he keeps threatening secondary sanctions on Russia, but keeps backing out because they keep offering carrots to him. And of course, a big part of the Republican coalition is pissed about that. And another part is pissed that he's not isolationist enough. It's a difficult balancing act that someone without his charisma could not manage.
I see. That's part of the reason why. Well, if JD Vance were to become president, he'd probably just go full isolationist, and he'd piss off all all the
Yeah,
old
there is
Republicans.
a large segment of the Republican base and establishment that would not like a Vance presidency for that reason. Because Vance, he truly believes a lot more stuff than Trump does, but it's also stuff that isn't as popular and he can't sell it as easily.
Yeah,
And
because he
also, well,
doesn't.
the other thing is a lot of these beliefs he might be putting on to get closer to Trump, and he might do different things if he actually had any degree of power or responsibility.
Yeah, but like JD Vance seems to be like somebody like he seems to be more of a Dan Quayle like vice president of like that's constantly being like made fun of.
Yeah. I mean, a bit more articulate, but without that friendly, clownish sense. He takes himself really seriously.
Yeah, it's, oh, so Dan Quayle was more of a clown than like somebody who's like
Well, yeah,
aggressive
no,
like
I mean,
Vance.
like, he always had this sort of buffoonish air. It was hard to get super mad at him. Vance is like, Vance is a much bigger ego than Quayle
Yeah,
did.
I guess maybe Vance would be closer to Sarah Palin.
Like, if Sarah Palin tried to act all pseudo academic, yeah, that might be closer.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, Sarah Palin was sort of proto MAGA, you might say.
Hmm.
I mean, in terms of this populist, low class appeal kind of stuff, she very much foreshadowed what would come.
Yeah.
And he is, of course, nowadays a very hardcore Trump supporter.
Yeah. But the point is, like JD Vance, but the thing is, I think the Trump, so like, so yeah, like, at all this point, so yeah, but also yeah, but also not to mention the fact that John McCain was totally not like that. So I wonder why he's even his VP, like.
Well, it was a compromise ticket to balance the two parts of the coalition, pretty much, which Trump Vance was not. They were wholly appealing to one section of the electorate, and it was made possible just because Trump is the once in a generation political talent.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like,
So Trump.
again, it was an advantage that he totally overshadowed Vance on the campaign trail.
Yeah. But I do wonder why Trump like picked Vance as his vice president. Like you just wonder because he never really seems him to do any favors.
Well, part of that might have been the influence of the tech bro right that Vance was linked to and giving a sop to them.
Yeah. If I were to guess, yeah, that's probably true. I think Vance is like close to like Elon Musk circles, so like
Peter Thiel
maybe
was
like
his
maybe he
longtime
probably like maybe potentially Trump like brought him on as VP in exchange for some money or whatever. Like
Yeah, I could see that.
yeah. Now it seems like Elon is kind of lined back up with Trump at this point. At
Well,
least
he's
like
lined back up, but we haven't heard much from him. Like, he might be just laying low and preparing either a return to the administration or just not campaigning against them. Because remember when he was going to start his own party? Remember the America Party? That
yeah.
nothing in the end.
Yeah. That's completely fair. So like Elon's probably just hedging himself right now, not trying to piss off Trump or the Democrats any more than he already has. Like
Right. Because again, like, if he, like, he's basically made enemies with so many people who he was traditionally close to. Like, he was, prior to 2020 or something, he was liberal leaning in a way.
yeah.
And it's going to be hard to rebuild those bridges when he's thrown his lot in with MAGA so much. And of course, he had that big fight with Trump, which was inevitable to some degree. Like, two ambitious men with big egos are inevitably going to fall out. Those partnerships typically don't last long. But now he faces the task of rebuilding those ties. So I think that's why we haven't seen or heard much from him recently.
Yeah. I mean, he could potentially he could, he could potentially try to, let's see, like he could potentially try to go back with MAGA, or he could potentially even try to go back with the Democrats. Probably depends on like what happens on that. Or he could try to like no. What he could try to do is he could just he could genuinely found his own his own political party, which while while it may not while he may not be able to run for president, he can act as a spoiler between the two parties.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, they've clearly taken some measures and outreach to prevent him from founding the party because, of course, even if the Democratic share was unchanged from 2024, like if 3% of the Republican vote was split off, that could cost them the House.
Yeah.
So yeah, like they're trying not to alienate him somewhat, and Musk,
Yeah.
among others, has quietly signaled that he would back Vance for president in the future.
Yeah. But then again, I think the thing is that Republicans even wanted to win. They would kind of need Elon Musk mainly because he gives them like great mainly because like the fact that he has so much money, and allow the Republicans to pump money into campaigns, like he like allows them to do that, like
Yeah,
because
he's the richest
the
man
problem
in the
is that
world, and
the Democrats typically have more money than the Republicans, so I think the Republicans need to have Elon in order to win, because he loves the he will like pump a much money into the Republican Party to kind of even the cash flows with the Democrats.
yeah, he's the richest man in the world and one of the main prominent donors for the Republican side. So that kind of explains why they're not taking this fallout to its logical conclusion.
Yeah, but if Elon truly did fall with the Republican Party, they would be. I think they'd kind of be cooked. Like the Republicans need to have him make
Talked
a
about
balance. They
the
need to make a
outlook
balance
won't
with
be
Elon where they
good.
need his money, but they also need him not to get in the public eye too much. Like Elon is not likable right
Well,
now,
yeah,
so
I mean,
they
especially
need
if
his money,
new
but they need him
revelations about
out of.
Epstein come out.
Yeah, yeah. They need they need Elon out of this. They need Elon out of public scrutiny, but they also need his money. So like it's kind of it's kind of a balancing act that I need to make with him. Like
Yeah, they're not in a good position either way because, again, we've talked about how a lot of the long-term trends at this moment don't really favor the Republicans.
yeah, I mean I just have to mention their mistakes combined with the fact that what you said, the typical like swing to the other side that happens in American politics now. I think we kind of covered all we need to cover, so I think I'm going to call it here. So see you later.
Yeah, no, this was interesting, and let me know when you want to have our next podcast.
All right, well, see you later.
Hey, take care. Hey, see you later.
Bye.
All right,
Bye.
bye.
Bye. Yeah.